Wow, welcome to the first Better Leadership Team show. This is exciting for me. It's not exciting for you. I'm sure, listened to thousands of podcasts, but it's my first one. So it's pretty exciting. We're going to do two different types of Better Leadership Team shows. One, which is what you're getting in this episode, is called a Mic on the Mic episode. Clever, right? And that's me ranting or talking about something solo. And then the other half of the episodes are going to be me interviewing guests about how to create a great leadership team, CEOs, authors, thought leaders, speakers, anybody I could find that's going to help us figure out how to build a great leadership team. Let me start this first episode talking about the epiphany that I had a few years ago. I've been a coach and consultant for about 35 years. And for the last 15 or so, worked exclusively with leadership teams, helping them with strategy, people and culture, execution, making sure they've got the right profitability and cash flow. I've been doing that for a while. And the epiphany I had about 4 years ago now is the idea that I wasn't just helping companies grow or helping companies be more profitable. That's the way I always talked about what I did. I help companies grow. I help companies realize their potential. But what I realize is what I'm really doing is helping create a great leadership team. That's the focus. And when I realized I had that focus, and wait a minute, that's what I do. It's not really just about growth. It's about building a great leadership team and everything cascades from there. I said, If that's what I do, I probably ought to read some books about it." And for those that know me, one of the things I say is if I go 90 minutes without recommending a book to you, dial 911 because something may be desperately wrong with me. So I read a lot. And I said, I don't remember reading any books specifically about structuring a leadership team and executing as a leadership team and building culture as a leadership team and finding the right people for a leadership team. Thousands of books on leadership, of course, dozens or more books on team building. But I started looking for that book about building a great leadership team, and I couldn't find one, which was really interesting to me. And I said, if I can't find it, maybe I need to create it. So I did that, and it's called Breakthrough Leadership Team. It's out on Amazon if you want to go buy it. But let's talk a little bit about why I think focus on leadership teams is so important, and hopefully sell you on why listening to this show is going to be so important for you. And then I want to talk about what I call the six pillars of building a great leadership team. And that's really going to be the focus of this first show. And I'm also, if you stick around to the end, once I take you through the six pillars at a fairly high level, I'll have more shows that'll go more in depth, but I'll give you enough that it should provide a kind of a checklist of what you need to do to make sure you're building a powerful leadership team, a better leadership team, what I call a breakthrough leadership team. At the end, I'm going to give you a link of somewhere you can go to actually assess your current team as to how well you're doing against those things and where you might need to improve. Where do you have strengths to leverage? And where do you have places where you've just missed it and you've got to do some work there? But let's talk about why the focus on leadership teams. And I've been coaching and consulting for 35 years. And what I found is that if you want a great company, and let me be specific what I mean by great company. A great company is not in 6 months, we're going to sell to Google for billions of dollars. I'm not saying that's not great. I would want that money too, but that's just not what our focus is here. It's not what my focus is here is building something to make the quick buck with some amazing idea by selling it to Google or Apple or Amazon or Meta or whoever. The goal is to build a sustainably great company. And what I mean by a great company is really a few things. Number one, it's top and bottom line growth, consistent top and bottom line growth. It's not all about money, but man, for those that think, I just want to do some good for the world, that's wonderful. But if you don't have the right cash flow, you don't have the fuel in the engine to make it happen. You can't pay people, great people, what they need to get paid to come and work for you, to add that value you want to add. So it's not the only thing, but man, it absolutely starts with consistent top and bottom line growth. So you need that to be a great company. Number two, I believe you need a growing, fulfilling work environment for your people. When I talk to potential clients, and for me, those potential clients are typically CEOs, and then I work with the CEO and the leadership team. But when I talk to prospective clients, if I have a sense that that entrepreneur, that CEO is looking to build their business on the backs of their employees, and all they're doing is complaining about their employees, and the reason they're doing it is to have a bigger boat or a bigger house, those phone calls go really quickly because that's not who I focus on. To me, in addition to top and bottom line growth, it's that growing, fulfilling environment. You need to create a great environment for your folks so you can attract more great folks, so you can impact those people. Having that environment, I think, is necessary to be a great company. So, number one, it's top and bottom line growth. Number two, it's a growing, fulfilling environment. And number three, it's that you're adding real value to society. Now, society for you could be your clients and could be your vendors. It could be your community. It could be the world, depending on what the purpose of your organization is. But if you want a great company, all of those things, you need a great leadership team. I've never seen an organization that had a mediocre leadership team, but as you went down through the organization, things got better. If you have an example of that, I'd love to hear it. There may be pockets of great people and great departments, but the company doesn't get better as you cascade down through the organization. It gets worse. It gets fuzzier and fuzzier, like that old game of telephone we used to play when we were kids. If you want a great company, it's got to start with having a great leadership team. I could remember a client I had, this was 6 or 7 years ago, walked into the room and the leadership team, was about 9 people on the leadership team. All they were doing was complaining about their people. We do and do for these people, and they're not thankful. All they do is complain. Morale is horrible. What else could we do? These damn millennials or these damn Gen Y, whatever it is, blame, blame, blame. And what I said to them is, look, let's do a little experiment. And in this conference room of 9 executives, I gave them what's called an employee net promoter score. And very simply, if you don't know what that is, and look up Net Promoter Score or Net Promoter System, it's a wonderful tool to use use internally or use with your clients. It basically is a measure of how engaged folks are within your organization. And I asked them the Net Promoter Score question, which is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer working here to someone else? Now, these are the executives, the top leaders of the organization. And when they gave me the scores, and it was anonymous, the average score was a 3 out of 10. And these are the executives. And here they are complaining about everybody else's morale. And what I told them is that we are not, and I am not going to work with them on trying to solve the problem out there until they solve the problem in here. We needed to work on that leadership team culture, that leadership team morale, that leadership team passion and engagement. We needed to work on that first. And that's why leadership teams are so important. Now, let me also, before I get into the 6 pillars of creating a great leadership team, let me talk a little bit about what a leadership team is. I may have a tendency, as when I talk about a leadership team, to talk about the CEO and his or her direct reports. Those are my typical clients. But if you're listening to this and you're saying, well, wait a minute, I'm a COO and I've got a team of folks within my operations function, I guess I shouldn't listen to this. That's not a leadership team. Or I'm a VP of sales, or I am a director of customer service. This applies to you as well. So I'll say two things about what a leadership team means, and I'll use the COO as an example. There are two reasons why, as someone who's not the CEO of an organization, you need to hear what it is we talk about on the Better Leadership Team show. And number one is, as CEO, you are a member, probably a member of your leadership team. Now, by the way, I've also seen organizations, not mom and pops, 50, 60 million in revenue, who don't really have a leadership team. They've got a CEO that runs around just telling their direct reports what to do. So it may not feel like you're part of a team, but as COO, you are part of a leadership team. So number one, that becomes important. And number two, the way I define it is any leader who is leading other leaders is part of a leadership team. So if you are a director of customer service and you're not even on the executive leadership team, you don't report to the CEO, but you've got folks reporting to you who lead other people, all of this Better Leadership Team stuff applies to you as well. That being said, let me give you a little overview of what I call the 6 pillars of a breakthrough leadership team. And then again, we'll talk about how you can assess yourself against those things. As I dive into the details here, it's important to address the elephant in the room. You are probably overwhelmed right now, overwhelmed as a leader of leaders, overwhelmed with the sheer number of issues and opportunities you've got to grapple with every single day, overwhelmed with every coach, consultant, accountant, attorney, advisor giving you advice that sometimes conflicts with each other. Overwhelmed by friends and family trying to tell you what to do. Overwhelmed by the books that you read, and I hope you read a lot. Overwhelmed by just the pressures of having to make payroll and grow a business and provide for so many other people. It's overwhelming. Part of what I want us to do on this show, through the knowledge that I have, but more importantly, the knowledge of the dozens of guests that I'll be bringing on the show, I'm going to learn a ton as well. That's part of the reason I'm doing it. I want to get better. So I want really smart guests to talk to me about what they're doing. And man, having a podcast, there's no better way of doing that. But I don't want to just give you more advice. I don't want to just get more advice that's going to overwhelm me, and I don't want to overwhelm you. And that's why when I talk about the 6 pillars of a better leadership team, of what I call a breakthrough leadership team, I want to give us a framework that simplifies things. It doesn't make it more complicated. We could think we've got 6 major areas to cover and not 127. So I want to give you that framework to simplify. And the next bunch of Mike on the Mic episodes, the solo episodes, and again, I mentioned earlier, my goal is we will switch off from week to week. I'll do a Mike on the Mic episode for you, and then we'll do a guest episode, and then a Mike on the Mic episode, and then a guest episode. You get the idea. The first bunch of Mike on the Mic episodes are going to focus on drilling down on each of these 6 pillars. So we'll stay fairly high level today, but then we'll drill down. So let's do that. And here's an overview of each of the 6 pillars. Pillar number 1, I call mastering self-leadership. You cannot lead others unless you're kicking butt at leading yourself. You just can't. You're not going to get home every night, drink, kick the dog, yell at the kids and your spouse, and wake up in the morning and be a great leader. And you're also not going to have a stressful, horrible time at work, yelling at your pain in the neck employees and your horrible clients and playing the blame game. You're not going to do all those things and then come home and be a great spouse and a great parent or a great owner of a pet or a great son or daughter. It's just not going to happen. Life and business blend together. And when you're doing well at both, that's a beautiful thing. when you're having a struggle, that's a really difficult thing. So within mastering self-leadership, there are three things to add to your checklist of things to think about. And again, future episodes, I'll dive deeper on all those things, but I call them focus, fire, and coachability. For focus, the idea is if you change your focus, you change your life. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling angry, if you're feeling joyful, good feelings, empowering feelings, or disempowering feelings, it's not because of what's happening around you. It's all about how you focus on it. It's that, serenity prayer, right? Grant me this. I've got it up on my wall over my desk. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What are you doing to work on your focus every single day? In the morning, what are you doing? Is it meditation? Is it prayer? Is it exercise? What are you doing at the end of the day? What are you doing in the middle of the day if your head starts to explode? How do you shift your focus from a disempowering focus to an empowering focus on demand? So within mastering self-leadership is the idea of mastering your focus. That's number one. Number two, within mastering self-leadership, I call fire. Fire is that fire in your belly. We've got an episode coming up with a great friend of mine, Kate Donovan, who's going to talk about burnout. And to me, fire is the opposite of burnout. Burnout says that fire's out. That's what burnout means. How do you keep that fire in your belly to move forward, even when it's difficult? What is motivating you? It could be a greater purpose in your life or in your business. It could be any number of things. But that's what fire is all about. It's keeping that fire in your belly. So do you have that fire right now? What could you do to fuel that fire? And again, through Mike on the Mic episodes and some guests we'll be having, we'll talk more about that. The third thing, so we talked about focus, fire. The third thing within mastering self-leadership is coachability. Coachability is about having that growth mindset. If you've read Carol Dweck, Growth Mindset, if you haven't read it, great book. If you read it, you understand the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And a fixed mindset says, I guess this is who I am, and I guess this is what I know, and I guess this is how good I'm going to be. You feel that way about others as well. And a growth mindset says we could always grow. I always feel like the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. So coachability is about asking for feedback, having the vulnerability to ask for feedback. It's about taking action on that feedback. It's about holding yourself accountable for that feedback. How coachable are you? And if really quickly you say, oh, I'm incredibly coachable, it's probably a sign you're not as coachable as you think. Because if you're not thinking about it, you're just jumping to that answer. You're probably not as self-aware as you need to be. So pillar number one is mastering self-leadership. Pillar number two is proactively structuring your leadership team. What do I mean by that? Number one, what I mean is understanding the word accountability. There's a difference between accountability and responsibility. Responsibility is who is rolling up their sleeves to get the job done. Could be one person, could be 1,000 people. Accountability is always and only one person. So the question I want you to ask yourself when you think, do I have the right structure for the team? Am I proactively structuring the team? Is there an agreement between you and your team as to what the different functions are on your team? And who is that one person accountable for that function? Where you have multiple people accountable, nobody's really accountable. Where you have a function and no one's there and that no one is accountable for it, well, then you might have some things slipping through the cracks. Where you have somebody stretched too thin, which might be you as the leader, where you have somebody stretched too thin and they're accountable for 5, 6 different functions, that might be a problem. So when we talk about proactively structuring the team, it's understanding accountability, understanding who is accountable for each of the functions, and then creating what I call a 12-quarter leadership team plan. Understanding who's accountable for each function is a very static, where are we now kind of exercise. What I want you to think about and what I'll dive deeper into in future episodes is creating a 12-quarter plan for that accountability. What are your different growth metrics? What are your different success metrics over the next 4, 8, 12 quarters, 1, 2, 3 years? And how does that impact your different functions and who's accountable for those functions? So you can be proactive about your team and say, hey, I don't need a VP of sales right now. As the business owner, I can handle that right now. But given our growth trajectory, that's a tough word, given our growth trajectory, you know what? In 4 quarters, I'm going to need that VP of sales. So maybe I ought to start looking now or grooming now for that position. So pillar number 1 was mastering self-leadership. Pillar number 2 is proactively structuring the team. Pillar number 3 is finding the right people. You're not going to have a great leadership team with a bunch of folks performing at a B level on your leadership team. You need A players on your team. Tip Kindle, the founder, and I think he might still be CEO of the Container Store, has this great philosophy called 1 equals 3. 1 equals 3 says one superstar, one A player equals the productivity of 3 mediocre performers. What are you doing to go out there and find the right people? The philosophy I adhere to, which sounds heartless, but it's not, is fire fast, hire slow. Most companies do the opposite. They wait until they just can't take anymore to get rid of someone who's toxic for the team, that's been toxic for the last 12 months. And then they rush to hire someone and make the same damn mistake all over again. We need to do the opposite. Do you have a repeatable process to find, hire, and onboard A players within your organization? Future episodes, we're going to talk about a methodology called top grading. I'm going to talk about that. I've got a guest coming up that's going to talk about that methodology. There's a great book called Who, the A Method for Hiring. Another book I suggest you read. Do you have a process to consistently find, hire, onboard A players? We've also got a guest coming up, Brad Giles, who's going to talk about onboarding. So that's pillar number 3, finding the right people. Pillar number 4 is executing with discipline. Ask yourself how much drama you have in your day-to-day of people committing to things and not achieving them, of people not even knowing what they've committed to. If I ask 5 people in your organization, 10 people in your organization, what are the top 3 priorities over the next 90 days for the company? How does what you do align to that? Would they know? Do folks know how to measure success? So within executing with discipline, there are 3 disciplines that I want you to think about. Number 1 is aligning around priorities. As I said, do you have a small number of annual priorities? Do you have a small number of quarterly priorities for the company, for the team, for an individual? So are you aligned around priorities? Number 2, are you measuring those things that matter? Do you know how to measure success for each position? Does your head of marketing, or if you are the head of marketing, how do you measure success? Is it a beautiful website? Is it, wow, your social media looks really good? Or is it a specific number of weekly marketing qualified leads? How are you measuring success for the company and by function? And the third discipline, lining around priorities, was number 1, measuring what matters, number 2. The third discipline is having a consistent planning and communication rhythm. Everything from annual planning sessions to quarterly planning and learning sessions to monthly check-ins to weekly accountability sessions to daily huddles. What does your planning and communication rhythm look like? And does it allow you to agree on a set of priorities, cascade those down through the organization, and to adjust as you need to? If you're setting priorities once a year, 2, 3, 5 months after the year starts, those priorities are already outdated. So it's no wonder you're not holding people accountable for it. Pillar number 5, building a resilient culture. So critical within a leadership team. If you build that culture on the leadership team, that culture will cascade down through the rest of the organization. There are 3 V's to culture I want you to think about. Number 1 is values. Do you have a small number of non-negotiable behaviors that anchor your culture, that anchor the personality of your organization? Not a set of core values that's a plaque on the wall or a page on the website because it looks good. Something that internally anchors your culture, that you actually hold people accountable for. So the first V is values. The second V is vision. Do you have a almost never changing purpose for your organization? That's your North Star. Do you have a 10 to 15 year big, hairy, audacious goal that's a flag on top of the mountain to drive people? A man on the moon kind of goal for the organization? Do you have a 3-year vision for the organization? Not just numbers, but what's the organization going to look like, feel, smell like? What are people saying about the organization? What are you known for? Do you have a clear vision? And is every member of your team an evangelist of that vision? That's so important for your culture. And then the third V is vulnerability. Vulnerability is about a level of honesty, sometimes brutal honesty on your team. Vulnerability to give and receive feedback, to say those things that are difficult, and to know that the folks on your team are coming from a place of positive intent. Is there that level of vulnerability-based trust on the team? So those are the 3 V's of building a resilient culture. And then the last pillar we'll talk about is developing and improving the team, continuously developing and improving the team. How often are you assessing the talent on your team? I suggest, and I work with my clients to do a quarterly talent assessment where we're assessing one level down who is performing at an A level, a B level, a C level, and what we call a toxic C level. And there are 2 ways we look at performance that come together to figure all that out. One is how productive are they? 2 is how well are they living the core values? Are they adding to the culture or subtracting from the culture? When's the last time you worked with your team to assess talent? And I'm not talking about an annual performance review. I'm talking about getting together as a team and discussing one level down your talent and understanding actions that need to be taken with that talent. Number 1 action is coaching. How good a coach are you? How good a coach is your team? Is there a coaching process that you have in place? Development. What are you doing to learn and grow every day, every week, every month, every quarter? Do you have a plan for you? Is there a plan for your team to develop, add new skills, build old skills? And then lastly, how courageous are you to cut the cord on those people that aren't a fit within your organization? Are you letting underperformers, toxic performers stick around for 6, 9, 12, 18 months? Or do you have the courage to, remember I said fire fast, hire slow? Do you have the courage to fire fast? And again, I don't mean that in a heartless way. Because if someone's performing at a C level in your organization and you're finding they're not coachable, I believe everybody could be an A player somewhere. So I think you're being heartless by keeping them around. So again, those 6 pillars, as we wrap up this first episode, those 6 pillars are mastering self-leadership, number 1. Number 2, proactively structuring the team. Number 3, finding the right people. Number 4, executing with discipline. Number 5, building a resilient culture. Number 6, developing and improving the team. Now, those are in no specific order. You need to work on all of those incrementally forevermore. It's not step 1, step 2, step 3. It's working them in parallel. Last thing I'll say as we wrap up this first episode, and if you've lasted, I shouldn't say if you have lasted this long, or you wouldn't be hearing my voice. That's a dumb question to say, if have you lasted this long? Lasting this long, thank you for lasting this long. And what I want to offer you is a way to assess your team in all these areas. It's a online 30-question assessment that you should take as well as your team. If you go to mike-goldman.com/BLT, as in Better Leadership Team or Breakthrough Leadership Team, mike-goldman.com/BLT assessment. You will find the assessment there. It's a great start to getting an idea of where you need some work. Where do you have strengths to leverage and where do you need some work? I hope you enjoyed this first episode. I love doing it. Have a great rest of your day.